Absolutely, Ned. Thank you, and good to be here. So I'm John Crittenden. We're going to talk about fintech and consumers today, two of my absolute favorite topics that we could ever talk about. And so I was in the traditional wealth management business for a long time, sold an RIA in 2012, joined up with the Acorns family at the very infancy of that in late 2012. Rode through Acorns through product launch, served as I chaired the inaugural investment policy committee and put input on pricing and all kinds of things. So I understand this fintech evolution of the traditional business to what we're at now and where we're moving forward pretty well, right? I've been immersed in both sides of it for a while. And there's a long way to go, but we're at a good foundation. And all I know is I'd rather be a financial services consumer next year than I would have wanted to have been one last year, because everything is getting better for the consumer.
John, look, you've seen a lot of different customers. You've seen them from Acorns, you've sold an RIA. And as you said, you've been thinking about this for a long time. And I've certainly seen that you have some, your views on where we are today is that while, the whole digital wealth, it's an enormously long way to go. How would you kind of think about the customer and where they're going?
So the big thing is it always starts with the customer. And if you get into behavioral economics and things like that, how people make financial decisions, it all comes down to trust and confidence, whether it's a digital, a brick and mortar, whatever channel you want to go through, they need to have that feeling of trust, which means you have my best interests in mind, and confidence, what does confidence mean? Are you going to be there, right? Are you sustainable? If I put my family's wealth there or my first investment account there, who cares, right? If it's $100 and that's all I have, that's as important to me as if it's $1 million and I have, right? It just is. So trust and confidence is a big thing. And when it comes to fintech and the digital channel, they kind of skipped over the trust and confidence foundation of a financial relationship and kind of went for the rapid conversion funnel relationship. And they're two very, very different sales. Now, if you can convert that first sale into the second, right, over time, then maybe you'll win the race. But if you ignore that trust and confidence hurdle that you need to get over to be a sustainable, real business long-term, just for that quick hit, you're going to have some trouble.
And did you find it in terms of that the building the trust and confidence, was there something missing when they did that? The first companies got out there. Did they just presume it was there, or how do you feel they went about that?
So a lot of it was, that's a really good question. So they did not presume it would be there up front. A lot of them would rent a lot of trust and confidence. They'd have an outside advisor who's maybe from academia, or they would have, right, or they would do something like that and kind of lease some credibility. But their app and their funnel just moved things rapidly. All they want, it was all about keep you in the funnel and get you to open an account. That's kind of what it was. And that's a great, I get it. I understand that. We're all in business. We need to have business. But we also need to bridge that trust and confidence gap to become a trusted financial institution is what you want to do in the long run. And so they've had to come kind of backfill, right? So they did a lot of marketing up front. They opened a ton of accounts. Okay, so they've got all these people, but why aren't they getting the real dollars or the real financial relationships that these folks have? Because they skipped over a few steps and they need to go back and backfill. Hopefully they'll do that and do it in the right way.
I think, John, from RA to Acorns to what you do today, you've seen a lot of strategies. You've seen people with a lot of different strategies. What would you tell people who are watching? I mean, maybe not the kind of the best view you've seen, but what's your thoughts on strategies? Kind of what you do today. So would love to hear.
Look, I'll tell you, I keep pounding on the phrase trust and confidence because in a behavioral economics financial relationship scenario, from the customer's point of view, which again, if we're doing this right, we're reverse engineering everything back to the customer's point of view. It comes down to trust and confidence. And you can skip over that sale all you want. You can skip over those steps that create that foundation all you want. And you may get that quick, yeah, what the hell, I'll open an account and see what happens. But to build that long-term trusted relationship, to build a sustainable business, to provide value and be able to charge for it, by the way, right? That's another thing. If you're not providing something that people are willing to pay for, what are you really doing? I don't think you're doing anything, especially in a regulated environment like this, because alternative forms of monetization are kind of walled off, right? From a regulatory standpoint, and just from a fiduciary standpoint, and just from, you know, all kinds of different standpoints. You need to create value and you need to be able to charge for it. And you need to have somebody say, I want what they're doing, and be able to pay for it. I mean, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And luckily, because of technology, we can enable that at really small sums of money. So it's accessible to anybody, right? Luckily, but you still have to be able to create something of value that you can feel good about charging for, and that you can, the customer feels good about paying for. And so, all right, there we go. All the way full circle to the back. What strategy would I pursue? Create something of enough value that you can feel good charging for it, and that your customer feels good about paying for it.
I mean, John, we've talked about the goal base. You've seen a ton of solutions out there. And again, you know, when you look at financial institutions, partner, buy, build, tech, is there too much out there? Are there too many solutions and it's hard to pick? John?
Is that an open question? Yeah, there are a lot of solutions out there. And are there too many? That's a good question. The market will filter that, right? The market will filter that question through. But I mean, yeah, no, there are a lot of solutions out there. And, you know, I'm a consumer as well. I'm in the industry, but I'm also a person, you know, just like everybody else. And, you know, when I have to download another app, it bothers me. It really, you know, it really, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, so yeah, are there too many solutions? Yeah, there are. You know, at some point there's going to be some kind of aggregator, some kind of hub, some kind of super financial app that kind of, it's one app, right? That you can feed all your other processes off of. That's definitely going to hit the market at some point. Who it's going to be, how it's going to look, when that's going to happen, I don't know. But that is definitely where it's going to be. I don't want to have 10 financial apps on my phone. I would like to have maybe one or two, right?
Yeah.
Have those be the gateway to whatever we're doing. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but in terms of too many players in the market, but yeah, no, definitely there are.
So look, we're coming towards the end. We are wrapping up. I'd like to maybe summarize each of these, not each of these points, but we know, I think even, you know, 5 years ago when I started Bamboo, in the first 2 years, when I used to pitch Robo, people were like, or financial institutions were like, oh, I don't know if it'll ever work. I don't think people are going to go digital. Today, that debate's finished. The debate is, how is it happening? What's it going to be? So I think we all agree on that. And John, you've been predicting the future in wealth tech for a while. What's your what's your views on how it goes? I mean, predicting the what's the saying? The predicting the future is hard because it's the future, right? But
so what's the other way? Is the best way to predict the future is to go create it.
Yeah.
So I'm confident predicting it because I'm trying to create it.
Awesome.
So what I think the next phase of all this, right? So the whole fintech, the front end of the fintech wave created some excellent things. The whole customer onboarding process as a consumer, as a firm, as a back office, as a regulator. I mean, the whole know your customer, customer verification, identity verification, it's all automated, it's all traceable, there's a printout. I mean, so many compliance things. So it wasn't just good for the consumer, it's one of those rare things that were good for the whole thing, from the front end all the way to the regulatory bodies. That whole automated system of onboarding is the greatest thing fintech has done so far. What's going to happen next is the marketing. They're so good at that seductive marketing funnel, right? They really are. I think the next wave is to marry that seductive marketing funnel with a substantive end relationship for the customer. Because right now they have that great, beautiful, seductive front end funnel, and it leads you down. And if you're somebody, if you're 25 and you think, what the heck, I'm going to open up my first account for $10, that's great. But will that same seductive funnel say, wait, I'm 35, I just left this employer, I'm joining this employer, I need to roll over $100,000 401k. Is that same goofy funnel going to work for me? And it's not, right? So it's going to be that marriage between that delta between all the games that the seductive funnel plays. Who does it really capture? What's that delta between numbers versus monetized, right? I mean, where's that delta between who you attract into that funnel and what do they get at the end point? And that's what's going to change. And that's kind of where this is going.
I love that idea that the people who are starting on that journey now in their, the early 20s, investing, putting some money, doing goal-based planning, you're right. But then it gets complex. You move employer, you got to change a 401k, you have a kid or married, and those goals get complex. And the complexities, which didn't seem to be there at first, are now a reality. And it's hard.
Absolutely. So that's where a lot of it on demand is going to be important moving forward as well. It's going to be triggered by life events, which you just stepped on. I'm having a baby in 9 months. What the heck do I do? I just got laid off this morning. What should I do? I just received an unexpected inheritance. My grandfather died 10 years before I thought he would. Do I pay down debt? Do I save it? Do I invest it? What do I do? Those life events are going to trigger advice on demand. And, so that funnel needs to find that delta between, right, being tricky enough to catch you, but also leading you to where it's relevant for you.